going to continue the rest part of apiculture, that is the scientific method. Last day I told you about the indigenous method, but due to some mistake my introduction was not correctly recorded in that. My name is Saraswati Sarkar from Jamshedpur Cooperative College. So before I go through the scientific method, let me revise the previous classes, some parts again. The queen is the largest in the beehive and workers are smallest. In indigenous method there were some demerits. That's why nowadays this scientific method is followed. The one most benefit of this method is that we can move this from place to place as per the availability of flowering plants. Flowering plants are collectively known as pasturage in apiculture. So as per their availability, we can move it. In scientific this method or the scientific device, this includes two main parts, basic parts. These are the lower chamber and the upper chamber. This is the brood chamber and this is the storage chamber. These are the wooden frames, a number of frames. Now they are available in market. So these are the wooden frames, one piece, and these are already provided with wire meshes, hexagonal wire meshes. These are kept in these two chambers. Now in between these two chambers there is a wire mesh so that queens can't enter into this chamber. This is mainly the storage chamber. Here honey is collected, and in this part, this is the lower part, from there drones as well as workers and the queen, they enter here and they take place here in different cells. Brood cell, worker cell, there are different cells: brood cell, worker cell, drone cell and queen cell. First, when there is a stand below it and ventilator is present to ventilate the whole structure. The honey is present within it. Before starting this, for the first time, these are wire meshes, simple wire meshes. These are going to be used for the first time. So these are coated with light wax. These are put inside this, and a few honey bees, they are collected, workers as well as queen and drones, they are collected from a good place through cloth bags and entered into it. They are watched periodically. If there is scarcity of food, natural food, artificial diet is provided, which contains sugar syrup, wheat flour, soybean flour and dry milk powder. So they are mixed and they are provided in that much amount so that can be consumed within 2 to 3 days. Now honeybees belong to Hymenoptera. That is, they possess wings which are membrane-like. Each honeybee during flying, they can vibrate, they can move their wings 400 times per second. So when there is a group movement, we can see a ringing sound, a vibrating sound from them. So when these chambers get filled, they are from the upper chamber, these wooden frames, they are collected. Now they in a container, and these cells, the upper cells, when they get filled with honey, they're filled up with honey, they're capped with wax. And not only wax, now from where does that wax come? The abdomen of worker bees, they possess wax glands from where wax is secreted. Now there is a term propolis. What is that? Propolis is a resinous substance present in flowering plants near the nectar. So honey bees, while collecting nectar and pollen from flowering plants, they also carry that propolis, and by mixing propolis with the wax, they make a cementing material with which they build these cells, repair these cells, and when the cells get filled with honey, they cap these cells, or they seal the upper part with that wax. So after collecting this, that is also called as harvesting honey, a sharp knife is used, which is used for scraping wax or covering that wax, and then the honey is poured, and then those parts they are contained in a container, metallic container, and after removing the whole part including beeswax and honey, these are reset in the chamber, and now that is extracted by centrifuging that metallic container, that is centrifuging, they are centrifuged, and the honey extrudes out through a hole present below the container and collected, but that is not of very good quality, so they are filtered. Now we get pure honey which is bottled, and they are now marketable. But during their life cycle there are some terms. We described propolis. Last day I told you that a term will come, royal jelly. What is that? When the larvae emerge out from the eggs, they are given ordinary foods, but the good quality, ordinary foods mean the food mixed with the food formed of honey and pollen grains, but the good quality larvae, they are fed with royal jelly. What is that? The honey bees, the worker honey bees, which are deputed for feeding, they regurgitate some nutritious product, and that is known as royal jelly, which is given to the developing queen. Only one queen develops and one queen resides in a chamber. So that is royal jelly, propolis. Now, what is nuptial flight and swarming? If we throw a stone, an indigenous method in a natural beehive, they attack you. Or sometimes if they get unavailability of, they feel that there is no food or this thing, some of them, or there is overcrowd, some workers along with one queen and some drones, they move away and they form another hive. And from the remaining larvae, one gets developed into queen by that worker is given royal jelly by the other workers, and it develops into a new queen who resides in the old hive. But in case of scientific method, there is no chance of swarming. There is one term, absconding. What is that? Absconding means when they totally leave that hive and form a new due to unavailability of flowering plants or attack of any bees, etc. This thing also does not happen in case of scientific method. Okay. Now, what is honey? The honey bees, they collect nectar from plants. They take it into their digestive system. There the nectar gets modified into honey, which is stored in their crops, which is a sac-like structure present in the alimentary canal. When they return to the cell, they regurgitate. They return to the hive, they regurgitate the honey, and that is stored in different cells. So that is honey. Honey is a modified nectar. Okay. Now, nuptial flight. What is that? When the queen gets maturity, it flies away, and followed by a few drones, and fertilization occurs in air. After fertilization, the queen takes a large amount of sperms and stores them in her spermatheca and return back to the hive. The male which fertilizes her, a single male fertilizes, he dies off, and the other drones are also not allowed to enter into the hive again. After returning back, she lays eggs. Now there is some structural differences. What are those? Both queen and the workers, as they are females, they possess ovipositor and sting too. Males don't possess stings. Now in queen, the ovipositor is used for laying eggs. Honeybees possess biting and sucking type of mouth parts. The sucking part helps in sucking the nectar, and the biting part helps in other arrangement, other works. That is putting the honey and taking care and all these things. Understood? As they are insects, they possess 3 pairs of thoracic legs, which are provided with a number of bristles. So when they fly to the flowering plants near the flower, the pollen grains get attached to to these bristles, that is their legs. And when they move from one flower to other, pollination occurs. So they are also good pollinating agents. Honeybees are also good pollinating agents. And the pollen grains they stack, so they are also returned. They are also carried by the honeybees. So in this way, honey is collected and extracted, and after that it is sold. There are so many enemies of honeybee, like beer, wasps, black ants, and some diseases also occur, which are not. These diseases, if we take care of these honeybees, then these diseases don't appear. But in indigenous methods, some diseases occur, which are protozoan disease, diseases caused by mites, bacteria, and fungus. These are all different types of diseases. Honey is of great medicinal as well as nutritional value. It increases immunity and is very much nutritive for the infants and old persons. In medicines also, especially in Ayurveda and Unani, honey is used. So that's all about apiculture and rearing of honeybees. Okay. Thank you.